Diru did an illustration for Lean after he heard about the pink code that Andres had done a draft of. So Diru's illustration, and then it was modified a little bit with Diru's permission by Will Dowdy. So this is the leaning of the codes and the pinking of them, leaning and pinking, which may be two different things. And then the pocket code being a format of a lean code that you could actually slip into your pocket. So we have several models to look at. This is the text of the pink code, and this is an early draft that Andres wrote for the Ignite High Point charrette in North Carolina. And the idea is that there's a pink zone, a pink code, maybe two different things, but it's an area where the red tape, where the regulations are lightened up so that it is easier to develop, to carry out your vision. The big question is, if there's a pink zone, or a code light zone, as some have called it, even a code free zone, as Andres was proposing in New Orleans, for pilot projects, for experimentation, to see if things could be ignited. It could, if it's merely a pink zone that lightens regulations without associated standards, it could be enabling and speeding up the permitting for sprawl, just as it could be for walkable neighborhoods. So the question is, what standards would we be associating with such a zone or such a code? And so that dumb code that was up, hope everybody got a quick look, is just cuts to the basics of what David Marinick, an architect, thought would be the most important elements to ensure traditional architecture and urban frontages. So basically, it had two transect zones that had rural, where the standards were recommended, and the urban, where they were required, so that you would have walkable frontages at zero setback everywhere in your traditional village. Obviously, the rural to urban transect that we use for the SMART code and many other codes is more nuanced, and thereby more flexible, looser, more American. And all of the lean codes, the pink zone, the pink codes, the pocket code that you read about in the paper are transect-based, because we consider the transect to be actually lean because it allows different disciplines to cooperate and coordinate with each other. So this pocket code only addresses the 3 urban zones, T3, 4, 5, and 6. The pink zone was written for a specific project. It does have standards in it. And I think one thing we can discuss here today is what are some of the most basic rules that we really have to have in almost every code. This is assuming that the town founder, the master developer, the brilliant city planning director is not going to be there forever, and the code will outlast that vision. So the code must contain part of the vision, and we're all familiar with that kind of thinking. Yeah, this will be fine as long as so-and-so's in that office, as long as so-and-so has a hand in it, as long as you have town architects, et cetera. What if all those people are no longer with us in this particular community? What are the rules that we really need? How lean can we go? And how do we present that? What's the format? Is it advice? Is it lean handbooks that we need to produce? We have discussed lean handbooks, lean manuals to be produced out of this project for the new urbanism, for the lean urbanism. And we have some good models for those. In fact, I just noticed at the bookstore here, there's one of those code check booklets I was telling the lean urbanists about, which is for building codes, but it's a summary of where to find the standards and what are the most important standards in the International Building Code. So the format of that, if you're up at the bookstore, take a look. I think that's something we could model for development codes. Now, this paper was just lean development codes. There's another one coming that's on lean building codes. And, you know, that's certainly a problem, that the building codes can prevent lean urbanism, can prevent new urbanism, can prevent adaptive reuse. But there are models out there where, for instance, the New Jersey Rehab Subcode is a good one for getting mixed use into older buildings. The SMART code always had one standard in it that was in the green type that meant, we know you're probably going to take this out, but we're going to try anyway. And it sort of jumped out of its purview and said, if you're renovating a building, you may bring it up to the standards of the building code under which it was originally permitted. You don't have to come up to today's building code. So, of course, this raises many questions of safety. But again, what are the standards in the building codes that are the important, most basic ones for health and safety, where we're not undermining the health and safety of the whole neighborhood? And where's it acceptable to have a trade-off like that? So these are all questions. I just want to show you a little bit of this pink code. So you see he has it, this is Andres' pink code, and he has it transect-based. There are different levels of permitting. Certain things only have to go through certain procedures, so and levels. And here are some rules with metrics in them. Okay, he's done some very clever things whereby averaging out of some of the metrics was well thought out. Others where the metric seems to be about lot width, but it's really about parking, things like that. So looking forward to seeing, you know, this get out, because it really hasn't gotten out. So you can see that format.
Partially because I haven't got a memory of it.
You forgot you did that?
Or even of having written.
So one of the kind of pocket handbooks I was thinking about was something like this. I threw it in the paper without having tried to do it yet. And this is something, maybe you can tell me if this would be useful, this kind of thing, or if this is going to lead us down the wrong road, or, you know, is this too arbitrary, 5 rules? Any of these things, open for discussion. But I was thinking, well, it could be the 515 series, you know, 15 steps to walkability. And here are these 3 categories, and these are the 5, you know, important types that you would need, and metrics and rules for a lean code or a lean handbook to guide lean development. So throughout the Congress, if you have ideas about this kind of thing, please come talk to me or any of the leaners. And I'm just trying to...
Keeps changing.
And I'll just give you a quick look at the pocket code itself. The pocket code, I wrote last year. Some of you have seen me present a little bit about this because it did come out before the last Congress. And the pocket code is 5 pages. It's actually 3 pages of code with 1 page of definitions and 1 page of legal, which you can tear off and hand to the attorney for them to fill in. And let me just get this. The smart code is lean to begin with. It's a relative term, right? So Diru's picture of many binders is familiar to large cities. And the smart code was total of 57 pages as of 2009, the latest version. 57 pages, including many pages of definitions, and it goes all the way from the regional scale down to the lot and house, the building. Then there was some further leaning, and of course, as calibrators are working in different cities, they're using parts of it. They're either leaning it or they're bloating it further. We pulled out some sections of the smart code during 2006 to 2009 and made them into modules, thinking, well, okay, now we're leaning it down. But people were putting a lot of the modules back in because they liked them, and this was part of the strategy, was to have the community, decide we want this. We want the landscape module. We want the sign module, and so forth. So, but we have seen some smart codes, bloat up, get lardy, maybe necessarily, but up to 200 plus pages for municipalities. So one thing we did was 2010, the Neighborhood Conservation Code was a leaning of the smart code to take out the regional section and to take out the new community section, actually. So it was just an infill code, and that was significantly shorter, but very dependent on the smart code to begin with. And then the pocket code, likewise, transect-based and getting it all the way down to the five pages. So this is what that looks like. And it's a little bit, if you were going to do a community plan, a new community plan using the pocket code, you do have to use the thoroughfare module. So that'll bring it back up a few pages. So the number of pages isn't the key, but it does get people's attention when you say, hey, you can do all the way up to the neighborhood scale, just 5 pages. Okay, so that's got a few rules. Both the pink code for Ignite High Point and the pocket code take out all the parking minimums. I was going to call the pocket code the no minimums code. There are no lot width minimums, although Andres' code does have that. And so if we can kind of get into a no minimums mindset and think more about the maximums, should there be parking maximums instead? So in the absence of any rules, is it going to go too much the other way? Okay.